Welcome to this presentation given by the Wind Recital Team from the Northamptonshire Music and Performing Arts Trust. We hope you enjoyed that first piece. It was a lively and upbeat march called The Entry of the Gladiators. If you've seen the film Madagascar 3, the music was used in that film too. Let's have a look at our first instrument. Recorders are a member of the woodwind family and are perhaps the best instrument to get started on from a very young age. Children as young as year 1 or year 2 can start to take lessons on recorder. Recorders are woodwind instruments because each one is a tube with holes that we cover and uncover to change notes. Have a listen to this recorder trio. We're going to listen to the Wind Recital Team play another piece of music together now. It's called Lullaby. A lullaby is usually used to help babies and young children to go to sleep. The music is therefore going to be soft, calm, and relaxing. For primary school children in Key Stage 2, there are a range of woodwind instruments that you could consider taking lessons on. Let's have a look at one of them now. The flute is probably the most popular woodwind instrument for children in years 3 and above to learn to play in primary schools. Even though it's made of metal, the flute is a woodwind instrument because it's a hollow tube with holes cut into it and keys which we press up and down. Hello, we can see down the tube of our flute as well. To get a sound, we have to blow air across the hole in the top part of our flute called a head joint, like this. The air vibrates down into the tube to create a sound. Let's listen to a note on the whole of the flute. The keys help us to get different pitches of notes, like this. Let's hear a tune on the flute. Listen to the flute in this extract. After the flute, the next most popular woodwind instrument for children in Key Stage 2 to begin lessons on is the clarinet. Let's have a look at that instrument now. Children from as young as Year 3 can begin to learn the clarinet in school. The Trust would be able to provide you with a plastic one to begin with. This clarinet though is quite a posh one, and that black material is actually called African black wood, and it's that colour when you cut it from the tree. We can tell the clarinet's a woodwind instrument because it is a tube with holes and keys which we press up and down to help us to change notes. We have a bit on the bottom called a bell that helps our low notes to sound nice. If we take the top part off our clarinet, we can actually see that it is just a straight up and down cylindrical tube. Hello! In order to get a sound on the clarinet, we need to use a reed. Here's one tied to the top of our mouthpiece. Here's a reed on its own. If we blow just the reed on its own, we can't get the air to vibrate, we just go red in the face. But because we've tied this reed to the top of our mouthpiece, if we blow air in our tube now, we can get a sound. Pop that back on the top of the clarinet, let's listen to a tune. Listen to the clarinet in this extract. Before we look at some more instruments from the woodwind family, it's time to listen to the NMPAT Wind Recital Team again. They're going to perform a piece of music called the Rodetsky March. When we think of a march, we often imagine soldiers marching in time to the music. However, the Rodetsky March is quite special because it was actually written for soldiers on horseback. So it would be the horses that would do all of the marching. We're going to look at two more instruments from the woodwind family now, which are very closely related, even though they don't look anything like each other. The reason they're closely related is that they both use double reeds. This woodwind instrument is called an oboe. If you want to learn the oboe in school, you'll probably start on a plastic oboe. But this is a very posh one, and it's made out of African blackwood. And that wood that you can see is actually black when you cut it from the tree. It's a woodwind instrument because it's a hollow tube, we can see down it, with holes and keys that we press up and down to change the pitch of the notes. The oboe has a reed in the top, which is where we get the air to vibrate. We can get a sound just on the reed. We can even get a tune. Isn't that clever? Let's hear a tune on the oboe. Listen to the oboe in this extract. The bassoon is one of the larger woodwind instruments, so it's normally children in years 5 and above who are a little bit bigger that learn how to play it in schools. Because it's so big, we need help to hold it, so we have a shoulder strap here, which we hook onto the back, and there's a little hand rest called a birdie, which helps us to hold the bassoon steady. Like all woodwind instruments, the tube of the bassoon has lots of holes drilled into it, and there are lots of keys to help us to change notes. There are 10 keys for our left-hand thumb and 4 keys for our right-hand thumb, so we need really nimble thumbs to be able to play the bassoon. The tube of the bassoon starts in this metal part called a crook, and the air travels all the way down one side of the instrument until it reaches the bottom, where there is a U-bend underneath the metal cap, which sends the air all the way up the other side. The bassoon is made from a light coloured wood called maple, which has been stained this rather nice red furniture colour. You can actually see where the bassoon changes colour if you look down the bell. The bassoon uses a double reed, so we can get a sound just on the reed. We can even play a tune. Let's hear a tune on the bassoon. Listen to the bassoon in this extract. Next, we're going to have a look at an instrument that a lot of people don't actually realise is a woodwind instrument. This instrument is called a saxophone. Because it's made of brass, lots of people think it's a brass instrument, but the saxophone is actually a member of the woodwind family because it is a hollow tube with holes cut into it and keys that we press up and down to change the pitch of the notes. The saxophone is quite a big instrument, so we have a shoulder strap to help us to hold it. Just like the clarinet, the saxophone needs a reed to get the air to vibrate. If we blow the reed on its own, we don't get any sound at all, we just go red in the face. Just like the clarinet, we tie the reed to the mouthpiece, which is in the top of the instrument, and if we blow air now, we'll get a sound. Listen to this saxophone quartet extract. We've had a look at all of the woodwind instruments that we've brought to show you in this presentation. Before we move on to the brass family, let's have a listen to a piece of music performed by the NMPAT Wind Recital Team. It's a lively and upbeat march all the way from America called The Stars and Stripes. We hope that you enjoyed that performance of the Stars and Stripes. As we said, we've looked at all of the woodwind instruments that we've brought for this presentation, so let's switch our attention now to the other wind family, the brass. There are many instruments in the brass family that children in primary schools can learn to play, including the trumpet, cornet, French horn, baritone, trombone and tuba. Brass instruments all work in a similar way. They all have tubes, but unlike woodwind instruments, the tubes don't have holes or keys. Often the tubes are very long, so brass instruments need to have themselves wrapped round and round to make them easier to hold. Brass players all have to buzz their lips to get the air to vibrate. Then they buzz into a mouthpiece to get a sound and attach the mouthpiece to the rest of the instrument to get a note. Brass players can use the muscles around their mouths to change the pitch of their notes, and sometimes they can get as many as 14, 15, even more notes just by using their face muscles. Lots of brass instruments have valves, which also help players to change the pitch of notes, and there's one instrument that doesn't have valves but has a slide instead. Let's take a look at some brass instruments now. The first brass instrument we're going to see is a trumpet. There are the valves of the trumpet. We buzz our lips. buzz into a mouthpiece, attach that to the trumpet, and that's what the trumpet sounds like. It's probably the most popular brass instrument for children in primary schools to play. This instrument is a bit bigger. It's called a baritone. There are the valves. There was the buzz. Buzz into the mouthpiece, attach that to the baritone. And because the baritone is a bit bigger, the notes are a bit lower. We said that one of the brass instruments doesn't have any valves, and it's this next one we're going to see. It's called the trombone. The trombone has a slide instead. Let's have a look at the slide, and let's have a listen to the trombone. What a cool sound that was! The last brass instrument we're going to look at is the French horn, which has about 5 meters of tubing that needs wrapping round and round. It has 4 valves. We buzz our lips, we buzz the mouthpiece, we said that brass players could get different pitches of notes just by using the muscles around their mouth. Let's listen. How many can we get? How many did you count? Let's hear a tune on the French horn. Listen to the French horn in this extract. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation and that you've learned a little bit about the instruments that we've shown you. We also hope that you've enjoyed listening to the music as well. Learning to play a musical instrument is great fun, and it's a skill that can last for your entire life. You get to listen to yourself and other people, create fantastic music with loads of performance opportunities, creating fabulous memories. It's a real chance to connect with other people and grow as a person. Give it a go. You won't regret it. If you're interested in taking up lessons, please speak to one of your school teachers or the school office who will be able to help you and tell you what to do next. Teachers from the Northamptonshire Music and Performing Arts Trust would love to work with you and get you started on your musical journey. Thanks for listening, and to end this presentation, the Northamptonshire Music and Performing Arts Trust Wind Recital Team is going to finish the concert with the music to Wallace and Gromit.